Hi there, my name is Assessment-Lege. This is for my interpersonal communications course 1318. This is for the chapter 12 assessment. This has 6 areas and I will be starting with area number 1. So I made my closest family and friends. I only had to ask 3, so I asked my mom, dad, and my brother to do this, and I saw that I don't invade their privacy. Like, after they leave, I'm not like checking their phone. I don't like look at what they've been watching. I don't do any of that. So I was really happy to see that because I was really worried that like my brother would have been like, yes, she does this and all that kind of stuff. So I was glad that my brother didn't decide to be rude. So the one thing that he did do, though, was mostly my brother and a little bit of my mom and dad, but he scored me a little higher. I was a little annoyed about that. Was pretending. Was what he said was, I don't seem interested in the conversations that he has with me. Like, he'll be talking about a video game and I'm like, okay, that's great, So I just need to be more present in the conversation. So I'm going to be working on that. And then, of course, that's the thing that I would change, because overall I feel like I scored really well. Like, my ethics seem pretty in order except for this one. And I think it's just because he hates me. No, I'm joking. Again, I wasn't shocked by any of the scores except for the pretending to be interested in the conversations. And that's the one thing I would change. Area 2, bribery, blackmail, and invasion of privacy. These are the 3 that I thought of whenever I read the chart. I was like, right off the bat, I was like, this one's happened to me. I've done this one, and that's exactly what happened. So I have been bribed by my brothers to not tell mom or dad something, and I've also been blackmailed by them to not tell mom or dad. So the bribery and the blackmail didn't last long, of course, because it was either I ratted myself out, they ratted themselves out, or we both told on each other. That's just how it goes. And most people are like, man, I bet you lost so much trust from them. I'm like, actually, no. I actually trust them more than, like, I trust a couple of my friends, which is weird, but, like, I do. The invasion of privacy actually never happened from my parents. It was my grandmother, or my grandma. You've heard me talk about her before. And our relationship is somewhat complicated because I get on rants. You can probably tell that from the speeches. But this was about whenever I was 10, and I would be using the bathroom. Lights are on, doors closed, I'm using the bathroom, and she would just come in and have like a full conversation with me, and I'm like, dude, I'm literally like, leave me alone. You can't wait like 5 minutes till I'm done. And this made our relationship complicated because, like, even whenever I wasn't in the bathroom, I was like, is she gonna come in? Like, is she gonna? Because then she'd be like, oh, what are you doing? What is that? Can you tell me about that? What is that? And I'm like, oh my god, leave, stop. Just stop. Like, if you would just give me a second, I would come and tell you, but you're just like bombarding me with questions, and I'm just like, oh my god, I can't even with that. But anyways, yes, that did make our relationship somewhat complicated because of that. Concealment is hiding your behaviors that are frowned upon. All these definitions are from me. False excuses is making up a reason why you're acting that way. Afraid ignorance, making it seem like you don't know something when you do. Insincerity, saying something that is not real. Minimizing is dismissing details about the truth. Outright lying, saying something that is not true. And so this one is, there was a question before this. So I'm actually less deceptive. I am really happy about that. So whenever I was looking at the definitions, I only identified with a couple of them, and it was false excuses, and the other one was omission. So false excuses is, I only use it with my grandma. So usually I just use that around the holidays. She's like, why haven't we seen you? And I'm like, oh grandma, I've got so much schoolwork. But it's mostly like, I don't mean to be, but the real reason is like, I don't mean to be mean, but you genuinely like are a lot to be around, and I just can't do it unless it's for the holidays, or I can't. Those are just like a couple false, like, I say something and I'm like, oh, it's homework, life's been insane, grandma, and it's like, actually, no, it's just you're a lot to be around, and I don't really want to see you. But I do love her. She's a lot. And then omission is another one that I use with her. These two, I actually don't use omission and false excuses. I only use them around my grandma or like my not immediate family. And this is the omission. I usually just agree with her. I'm like, it's usually whenever she talks about religion or politics, I'm like, yeah, sure, because it's just easier. That's horrible to say, but it's just easier to like agree with her and then just move on. Because if I say like, actually, that's not right, and then I say my point, and then she's gonna be like, well, did you think about this? Did you think about that? And it's like, then you can see how I'm right and you're wrong, and it's like, I don't care. It's just better to just move on and not argue with her. I still find myself less deceptive. I never use false exchanges and omissions or on my mom and dad. I just said that. But I do use them on my brother sometimes. So used to, this hasn't happened a lot lately, but I would tell them something. I'm like, yeah, there was this guy or this show that I was watching and it was like really good. And then they would go to their friends and they would be like, hey, my sister really likes this guy, or she really likes this blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, shut up. You don't have to go tell the whole neighborhood about everything that I do. Just shh. So, like, there were some things that I definitely used on them. But the good thing, as I said before, we're really close now, so, like, that doesn't happen. We're very, like, you tell me this thing, then I won't tell anyone unless you give me, like, permission. Like, I can make hints, or I can, things like that. So I'm really happy about that. So, yes, to the question, one of my friends she has done every single type of deception. We're no longer friends, and has not felt bad about any of it. And sincerity was one that she used a lot. She would pretend to care, and then she would say, this happened a lot. She would pretend to care what I say, and then she would voice her opinion, and then I would voice mine, and she would be like, oh yeah, that's a great opinion. And I'm like, okay, you asked for my opinion, why didn't you want it? And then the false excuses for her actions, she did that a lot. She was super mean for no reason one day, and I don't remember what. I think the excuse she gave me, she was like, well, I started my period, and like I had a really rough day at school. So like, I understand that. But then she was like, I had a really rough day at school, and then I started my period. I don't know what you want from me. And I'm like, bro, I wasn't trying to like be mean to you. I was just like, I didn't even yell at her. I was like, hey, are you okay? You seem really like stressed or something. And then she just like came at me with like this mad, angry voice. And I'm like, dude, like there is no reason for that. I'm not the period and I'm not the school. So like, I don't know why you would be mad at me, but okay. She's like, you ask such stupid questions. I just don't understand it. But she would do that a lot. Again, both of those were valid, but like she didn't have to like yell at me. I don't know. I'm glad I don't have to be around her anymore. Area 4. Yes, I think all of the questions are great to ask yourself and others in all types of settings. It can show you who has morals and a line. So this question was asking about, this was the apply it, and it asked if all of the questions were important to ask. And I absolutely agree. You can just, that sounds really dumb, but like you can use these questions like icebreakers. People do that. They're like, okay, so if you found your guy cheating, all that kind of stuff, how would you react? And a lot of these are like survey questions, and you can really see who's like has more narcissistic abilities and who doesn't. So I always like when people ask those questions, because I'm always like, this is really interesting, but I totally agree with them. Like these questions were like really good. So yes, I feel that when I don't tell the whole truth, it will affect my relationship in the future. So I usually tell, like, my mom is a really big part of my life. So like I tell her like literally everything. I go to work and I'm like, dude, you won't believe what happened. And then it's like something else happened at like school, and I'm like, dude, you won't believe what happened. But like I tell her like, we have like a whole table. It's like I'm laying everything out. I'm like, here's the picture, here's this. But like you don't like leaving anything out. I like giving them the whole picture, the good, the bad, the ugly, and I'm like, and then I'm over here like, oh my god, I can't believe this, and he's still yelling. Like I give them the whole picture and I give them the whole thing. So I don't like whenever people don't give you the whole truth. I especially hate it when they do it in shows. But yes, I do genuinely feel like if you don't tell the whole story or the whole truth, it will affect your relationships. Maybe not now, but it will definitely affect them in the future. I feel that deception is something that everyone either has or has done, but it's good to have some morals in place so it doesn't get out of hand. So there are different, as we learned before in our chapter, there are different types of deception, and the two that I mentioned are like the most. I guess those are the two or the three that I have listed are the most I feel that have morals in place. Of course, each thing can like get out of hand, but like those were the two that I was like the false excuses and the omission. Those two I felt like were almost the purest. Like they weren't money hungry, all that kind of stuff. They were, I hate to say it again, but they were the purest. They, for me, I'm like, I can give an excuse, but I can't go like too far. It's like, I kind of have like a limit. I'm like, I can only use so many with my grandma. That's the one I use a lot. I'm like, I can't give her another excuse because like she's heard this one or she won't care, So it's always good to have morals in place. If the person that's really mean to me, but like, if the person is like mean to you and they have done all of these, you can like keep them in your back pocket and be like, actually, you've done all of these and I've decided that you're a horrible person and I'm saying bye to you. So I do feel like that you need to have some morals in place just to be sure that it doesn't get out of hand. There are sometimes I have done a couple that I have listed previously, like I just said, but I have never done anything over the line. I'm never mean or rude to anyone, or I scream or yell. And if I use them, I don't think it's unethical if you have the right morals in place. So I'm pretty big on morals, but again, and then ethics, that's another thing. Morals and ethics are the biggest thing. So again, the couples that I just talked about it, but you have to have morals in place to make sure that you don't go over the line, you don't overstep. So like, I might use the false excuses, but I don't say, like, I had a ton of homework. Like, I don't do any of that. That's just insane. And if I do that, I'm going to need someone to tell me, hey, you good? But I don't, it shouldn't be an option. So, and then, again, morals. Morals are very important. So you should always have them in place just to, like, is this right? Again, with ethics, it's the same thing. I feel that it is. The one that I didn't are very manipulative and controlling, and that this can sway someone to make the decision they wanted. So there are different types of deception, like I said before, but the ones that I didn't choose are all very controlling and manipulative. That's what I said. And all of my friend has used, again, I said every single one in the book. There were a couple that were listed in that chapter that she definitely used. She had so many narcissistic like abilities and like tricks up her sleeve. It was horrible. But again, the ones that I listed, that I did list for my speech that I do, are very, again, pure. And they can be twisted and they can be turned and they can be stretched and pulled. But again, they can sway someone. And of course, you should know, like, I'm so happy that I have the list. Like, now I'm going to be like, you did this, this, and this. Like, that's just, I'm sorry, but I did. That's just how I roll. So this can use the person. This can make the person feel a combination of things. So this deceit can make them have a different perception or expectation for something. So if you use the right words, or you say it in the right tone, or you use what they want as their end goal, you can definitely make this person do something that you want. And that's kind of horrible and scary to think about. But people do it every day in the business world and any type of profession, and it's just horrible. But again, it's such a dog-eat-dog's world, so it really is just, again, having the right morals in place and ethics is a big thing. So I would definitely want to know, again, like I said before, I would definitely want to know if someone was using these on me. Like, I don't like being a pawn. I might not like confrontation and I don't want any drama, but like, I would not want someone to like use me as a pawn in their own personal game. Like, I don't like being played. I don't like being used. So if it comes down to it, like, I'm gonna be the one that's like, no, I am not doing that. So area 5, in this example, so this we had to make up our own example, and we were using I language. So in this example, my friend has been rude to my brother and is noticeably uncomfortable around him. So this is what I would say to them. I'm becoming aware of your uncomfortable behavior around my brother, and I need to know why you're acting this way towards him. I also want to know why this behavior is warranted. So this one really, I feel like whenever I was writing it, answered all of the questions that I had. So of course, there were perception checks involved. Like, this could be like a bit before I came with the confrontation. It could be like she shifted in her chair nervously, or she lashed out towards him and was like, "You're so stupid." And then it wasn't like, "You're so stupid," and it was the tone of voice. And then I was like, "Hey, I just need to know if we're okay, because you keep wanting to come to my house, but then my brother's here, and then you're noticeably mean to him. Is everything okay?" And there are, of course, thousands of different ways to go with this confrontation, but this was just one that I did. Area 6. As I said before, I sometimes withhold information from my grandma, so sometimes, again, that was with the false excuses and the omission. I, again, withhold, like, my opinions and stuff from her. But not always. I don't want to tell her something I do, but there are times when I do sometimes tell her things, and then it's like I feel like a weight lifted off of me. Like, an example of this would be like, that wasn't so bad. That's the one thing I want to keep from her. Like, there are times where I'm like, I gotta keep this from her. Like, she gonna die, and then I can like let it go. But there are some things, like, I tell her about my life, and I'm like, wow, I kind of feel lighter. I'm really glad that I told her that, because it's one last thing that I have to keep from her. Or it could be, I'm glad I told her. She seemed happy to hear about it, and I'm just happy that I told her. And she seemed not like disgusted to hear my opinion or my how I see the problem or how I see things. So there are some things that she's kind of progressive about, and then some things she's like, nope, actually I'm not doing that. So one of the ways that I do applaud others is I'm usually around kids, but this is like whenever I'm around like my softball friends. Thanks for telling me. I had questions on whether they were dating. So that was a time I actually did say this. It was for one of my friends. I was like, are they actually dating? And I mean, you couldn't say it. I mean, you could say that, but I wanted to be a little nicer. Thanks for telling me. I wasn't sure that they were dating or not. I didn't want to be weird about it or anything. Or, I'm happy that you told me that you feel that we don't talk enough. Thank you for letting me know. So one of my friends came up to, I circulate between like 4 or 5 people, and then we're not like bunched, like we're a team, so like we all talk, but like, of course, it sounds stupid, but like I have my regulars that I go to, like the people that I have mentioned other speeches. But there was one girl who was like, hey, I feel like we don't talk enough. Like, you're always talking with them, and I just don't want to like get in the way. And that's whenever I said this, like, thanks for letting me know that you don't think we talk enough, because like, I just thought you like being by yourself, or you like doing this. You seemed happy, so I didn't know. But I'm always glad whenever someone's like, hey, you can actually come over here. And I was like, oh, I didn't want to like interrupt or intrude or anything. But anyways, that's just how I plot a couple of them. Anyways, thank you so much. My name is Assessment-Lege. This is for my interpersonal and communications course, 1318.